wavy beard.
Waited for you, Fry.
This episode traumatized me as a young person.
My head is hurting again.
Where's my firstborn son?
God does not care about me masturbating.
Your singing is bad and you should feel bad.
First get out into a bus, so you're like, oh no!
Yeah. I don't like myself becoming the protagonist of this podcast.
You've been in
because you haven't learned anything.
Shut up!
Take me, podcast.
That's actually so much better. It's more succinct that there's a comma instead of the and.
Yeah.
Shut up, take me, podcast.
It's piratey now.
What if you guys could do?
We're using
What if you guys could do a really awkward ADR and?
And.
So,
place it in the middle.
welcome
Yeah, perfect.
everybody to Shut Up and Take My Podcast, a Futurama podcast that pits episode against episode in a bloody glorious gauntlet battle for your entertainment. And as
delectable.
always, I'm joined here by Phil,
I've been keeping my solemn vigil on the Widow's Walk.
by Ellen,
I'm probably dissolving in a bathtub somewhere.
and for the third time, I am joined here by Paul Salt.
Sorry, I panicked. You know what? The one I've decided to go for, I haven't actually phrased correctly in my notes, so hold on. Nobody said I had hair. If you chose to imagine me that way, it's your business.
By Paul Goodman.
A devastatingly handsome forklift.
And we're joined here by Sean.
Sean.
It's been almost 2 years since Phil first joined the podcast, and I remember it like it was interesting.
Oh,
Oi.
Nice.
it wasn't, unfortunately.
Oh.
We've moved on since.
So, guys, before we start the podcast, I thought I'd do a little thing, and I thought it'd be nice for the polls to listen in, because we've had some fans tell us things about the podcast.
Oh,
Fantastic.
boy.
What have they said?
Who the hell do they think they are?
Their opinions.
Would you all like to sit down with me onto corrections couch? Onto the
Oh
corrections?
no,
Oh, no.
he's wrong. I'll pop back.
Oh, those things.
Look, podcasting game, never apologise, never try to get anything right. It's important.
We're doing pretty well so far.
Yeah.
So our actually no, Ellen, you'll actually really enjoy this actually. So this is from our good friend Elliot from the Simpsons Index.
Oh.
And Mr. Elliot says, "Hey team, excellent podcast this week." Smiley face. That was it. Did you enjoy it?
Oh.
No, there's more.
Okay.
For your
Where's the catch?
information, Edgar Winter is a keyboardist. He is probably the most famous albino musician, and his big hit song was Frankenstein. You'll recognize it within seconds, and he's given us a link that I haven't listened to yet.
Oh, I still don't get the gag, though.
No, well, I guess if we listen to the track, maybe everything will be
So
illuminated.
that was from... I was asking why is it
Why is the courthouse-
J. Edgar Winter as opposed to J. Edgar Hoover?
Right.
I mean, he's explained who Winter is,
But
but
it doesn't explain the joke.
That was question one. You were like, who is he?
Yes.
And then, why is it funny? So we
Yes.
have part one of
we
the
have
joke.
part one solved. Great.
yeah.
Our next correction comes from all the way back episode 35.
Wow.
I wasn't even in here, was I?
No, it was
Right.
it was a tale of two Santas.
I'm so
and
glad. I've done nothing
It's
wrong.
your fault the most, though.
The error is Ellen can't be heard at all in this episode. What's going on?
Needs more Ellen.
What's she even doing? Jesus.
Look, I'm only up to episode 10 of inserting you into the podcast using words that you've already said.
I agree.
hate that
Occasionally.
very much. Penis.
Oh!
So this comes from our YouTube channel, Sick Exo Survival.
Okay.
Says the following: it's Rule 34, not Rule 63. If you don't remember that was from Phil. We were talking about nude Lara Croft in Tomb Raider for some reason.
Right.
And you said Rule...
What did I pull 63 out of?
Rule 63, Chris actually told me what it was, and he's correct, because I looked it up. Rule 63 is often used as a shorthand to refer to gender-swapped characters. For instance, a Rule 63 Green Lantern or Rule 63 Batman render the originally male character as women.
So I got mixed
Nice.
up. I Rule 63 my Rule 34 reference.
I think what you'll find also is that people use Rule 63 and then also use Rule
They
34.
combine them, yeah. I think it's quite common.
I wonder
Yes.
what. I know this is just like euphemisms for industry practice, but I wonder what Rule 63's wording would be. Every now and then, if it seems appropriate, I'm going to swap out those genders
Make link
in the
girl.
constitution of comic book writing. Look, if it's getting
and
bad, just make Hulk a girl again.
I love She-Hulk. How dare you?
And finally, we had an email from Cody Mann. Man with 2 N's.
Ooh.
Hi, friends. I'm listening to you from Denver, Colorado, and I'd just like you to know that you're by far the best podcast I've ever heard.
What? He's listened to
Holy
2.
shit.
You're not wrong. Wait.
Oh, no.
Futurama is my favorite show, and you definitely do it justice with your reviews. I've recommended it to everyone I know, and wait anxiously for each new episode. Whatever the lineup on the show, Sean, Josh, Sexy Chris, Paul, and Ellen, you are all magnificent.
So this is a correction you're making to the fan.
And then he goes on to say, the polls from OneGoodThing, another of my favourites, are always a treat as well.
Aww.
Yeah.
Keep doing you.
But
And if
he
you
found
ever
you
need
more
an
approachable.
American point of view on references in the show or good bars in Denver, please let me know. Those are the only 2 things I'm of any use for. Much love. Cody. Then, minutes after that, he sends another email that says, also, Phil. Sorry, Phil.
Oh, great. At least I didn't get entirely forgotten.
You got your own separate
pity,
email.
which is
That's
better.
very special.
Yeah.
But I thought that was nice because he's also fans of yours. I don't know if you've received an email
Yeah.
from
No.
the man, but...
No.
No,
I've
not
not
at
heard
all.
from
You're the more
Colorado.
approachable podcast, clearly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're
God,
nicer.
we're such
You guys
dicks,
are
our fans.
intellectual titans, so...
No.
Do you know, he was probably in London once and he said hello to us and we spat out or ran away from him.
Americans. Ugh.
And that,
People.
Someone who's not me.
Humans.
that concludes Corrections Couch.
Yay!
Woo.
Oh, God.
Why-
I'm sweating.
Regular
Why are we here?
segment.
I forgot.
We are here because we are up to Season 6, Episode 15, Möbius Dick, which is a reference to what?
Two things.
Two
Two
things.
things simultaneously. A Möbius
Two
strip
things.
and Moby Dick. It's what they call clever.
Oh.
There's a...
Wow.
Is there a burlesque artist or, like, a venue or something and it's called Möbius Strip? I don't know.
That would be
It's
a
the
good name.
most
I
Hated
have
strip club
definitely
in the
seen
world.
either... I've definitely
Difficult working conditions.
Can never leave.
Yes.
So
You go
and
in
the
to
show's
watch.
going forever.
You
and
go
the
in to
clothes
watch
keep
strippers,
going-
and then by
coming
the
off,
end of
but
it,
also,
you're
like-
the stripper, and the stripper gets the loot.
There is a
That's
third
actually
thing.
brilliant. I'm going.
There is a third thing that it is. Does anyone, Salt? You usually know more about me, about the episodes that I'm doing.
I haven't looked into this at all. I can assure you. There's a third thing
Have
in
a
the
guess.
title.
I think there's a novel called Möbius Dick.
The fuck, there is, yeah.
Oh,
There's a
right.
2004 sci-fi
Andrew
novel.
Crumey.
Ooh.
You've
Yeah.
got the author as well. Bravo.
What?
Yeah.
Whoa.
Extra points.
Yeah.
Because I've bloody read it.
You should ask
Wait, is this a
Bookshop Boy.
competition? Oh, shit!
Wait, have you read it?
I've read it. It's very good, very interesting.
Ah.
Has it got anything to do about a
We-
space whale?
It's mentioned in the epilogue,
Is
but
Bender more
that's
present
one of the
in the
main
book?
criticisms.
Because he was kind of absent in the episode.
Well, no, Bender wrote it. It was like an Ian McEwan novel. At the end, it just said BBR. And you go, oh, it's written by Bender. Oh, very clever. Ian McEwan.
Nice.
So, the director for this episode is the infamous Dwayne Carey Hill! And the writer for this episode is Dan Weber. Now, the reason this is quite special is twofold. Number one is that Dwayne Carey Hill and Dan Weber have now collaborated together 3 times.
Nice.
This is the third time. The first being Obsoletely Fabulous, and the second being A Clockwork Origin. And also, this is the second time that the Pauls have come on to an episode where they're doing the third collaboration.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
So one
We
of the
should-
last times you guys were on, I wrote it down.
That was the Farnsworth Parabox.
That
Yeah.
was the other one. Time Keeps on Slipping.
Oh, was that after?
Oh.
Oh,
No,
sorry. So
Parabox
as
was
in,
after.
Time Keeps on Slipping was
oh
whoever
okay.
the director and the writer was, which I wrote down and can't
Yeah.
seem to find. That was their third collaboration.
Yeah.
So you guys
How
have come in
eerie.
on three men of collaborators.
Oh.
Oh, that's
I
us.
also think this is their 4th time with us, not the 3rd.
What's this?
But that's an easy mistake to make, seeing as you tend to pick episodes that rip space and time apart.
Hey,
That's
they've
true.
done Time
We're
Keeps on
thematic.
Slipping.
Kill me.
The first one was
They have done 4. They have done
Poplars.
4. You guys have done 4. Thank you. Welcome.
Oh.
Hi there.
We did War is the H
points
word.
for me. Yes, I'm on the scoreboard.
It's not a
Knowing
competition.
stuff, the game.
Okay, can we get up off corrections couch? Because I'm wrong again.
It's so comfy though.
Actually, it's more of a settee.
I thought it was a well, actually. Hey.
Pedant's well.
Oh my god.
Air date for this episode is August 4th, 2011, and we're introducing two people that will make returns again.
Tucker?
No.
No. The candy.
No.
The forklift? I don't know.
No.
The dashingly handsome forklift.
Pauls, care to venture
The
a guess?
dimension hopping whale? Does that show up in the background of a shot at
Space.
some point? Is it the captain?
No.
ISIS?
No. Would you like to? No. It is the Fourth Doctor.
Oh, yes, of course.
The what?
It could be any cosplayer.
The Fourth Doctor, Doctor Who came out of the whale.
Thomas
at the end.
Baker.
I see.
I think you'll find it's actually the Doctor. Doctor Who is the name of the show.
Oh my god.
Well, sometimes I want to be a condescending dude prick as well.
You do
Hey,
it so
don't we
well.
all?
Thank you. Yes, I know.
And the second is a bit of a cheat. It's Sparky, the invisible elf,
What?
which is referenced in the Futurama title card, and is actually credited as a character online because there is another character that will come in later that is also called Sparky.
Okay.
That's fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
But I like
Yeah, that's the worst thing I ever heard. I'm leaving.
You got us, Sean.
Oh, Paul, Salt, would you like to run down the plot, please,
Let's just
sir?
assume you're referring to me. I'm sorry, Goodman. I'm the worst man ever. Paul, yes?
Well,
Shoving you out of the way.
yeah. Ow.
so
My
talented
glasses.
that you can do that through the screen.
He's found a way.
Just
It's the
with
only
his
thing that's kept us
words.
going.
The plot, yes. The gang are tasked with picking up a monument to the Professor's first crew and end up meeting their fate, being swallowed by a dimension-hopping whale. And they don't die, because Leela becomes the whale or something. But more so than the previous captain did. And the episode ends with all of the characters violently dismembering a whale, I guess.
Nice.
Yep, that's it.
That's pretty much it, yeah.
Well, it really ends. It really ends with "Hey,"
Hey!
which is possibly the best line in the whole
I'm
episode.
very sad that there's no jukebox. There ought to be a jukebox.
Yeah, they really should. He should bump it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Very sad for a lot of reasons.
So the episode ends with a whale being dismembered and Zoidberg getting laid. I don't know which one.
Yes.
It's a more upsetting concept.
Well, yeah, because I guess when Zoidberg gets laid, he dies.
yeah.
Yeah.
So anytime he displays
That's it.
any flirtatious behaviour, that's a cry for help.
There's a difference between mating and getting laid. Even for Zoidberg. I
Just
got
dry
fucked.
humping.
Hand job
Just-
or
just-
claw
hey.
job.
It's different. You can
For
Dry
Zoidberg, there
humping.
is no such thing as dry humping.
It's all wet.
It's all wet.
Not in my experience. Dry humping is so underrated.
You know what?
Come on, everyone, let's
You're
do a dry
right.
hump.
Yeah.
Do one now, listeners at home.
We need more dry humping in society.
I'm so glad my mum stopped listening to this.
But I'm happy she started.
She went, "Oh, I'll come back. Those pool boys seem very lovely." Oh, what's this?
Yeah, but now
Go on, she
boys.
says, intrigued.
Goodman, do you have any initial thoughts or queries or questions about the episode?
Where do babies come from?
Good question.
whales.
It's time to finally
Right.
ask.
Disappointment.
Oh, okay. Boredom and
Desperate
No,
attempts to make marriages work.
Yep.
it's how most things in life seem to work for me. Like this episode, I was pretty bored actually, and I didn't really like it.
Ah.
Just gonna say that right at the top of the episode.
I thought it was a little thin on gags myself.
That's interesting,
it's a
because
lot-
I had that it was a very gag-focused episode with very little thought for character or theme. Like, it seemed like most of the stuff they do in it is just... And it's always what's the word? A giveaway for me when they're willing to just kill off a character just for the gag, and then in the next scene they're fine. Like, you know, having Bender sucked into a pinhole and seemingly die, and also just fall out of the fucking ship at one stage. Oh, no,
Yeah,
he's fine.
he sort of dies twice, doesn't he? He gets his head knocked off.
I have to say, I did I have a stroke, or I completely missed large chunks of this episode?
So when Leela's looking at the map and she pins like the ship into it, and it makes a hole in the hull, and everything gets sucked through.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Bender gets
sort of
sucked
stuck
into the
halfway
hole.
out.
Yeah.
I think it was gag heavy. I just think the gags are constant misfires.
Yeah, maybe that's why I thought it
Agreed.
wasn't kind of gaggy, like, because I was just like, I'm waiting for one that actually
Well,
lands.
I think
None
I've
of these
just
are jokes.
literally-
This is a documentary.
I watched it I've watched it a few hours ago, and I feel like
Struggling.
at least 40% of it is gone from my memory.
Well, it's
Yeah.
weird for me, right? Because I think usually, like, when they have a very strong narrative focus for the episode, so obviously they're doing an allegory, they're doing a copy of Moby Dick where the allegory in Moby Dick is made into like a physical reality. That's the shtick of the episode, and usually having such a strong through line is really good for them. It gives them things to hang off of. In this, they just keep doubling down on it until it gets a bit stupid, almost.
Yeah.
I'm not sure it is a strong through line though, because the whole idea of it is just because they've actually done this before, kind of. The whole thing of captains and obsession and things like that. That was covered in the episode of the Penguins, where Bender
it is
becomes
that third part
captain
of
and becomes a
Alcatraz.
dick. Yeah, and it's like that was like one of the stories of that episode. This is the only story of this one, and it's the only character thing to be done. Is the idea of Leela not overcoming obsession, but like
Harnessing
giving into
it.
it more. Yeah, and that's the
It's a
only
shame.
character arc.
It's a shame as well, because this is like a Leela-led episode, and I don't think we get too many of those.
No.
It's not really, because it is, instead of it being Leela, they just sort of replace Leela's character with
That
a weird
Brannigan
archetype.
stuff.
Yeah.
It's not her.
Yeah.
It doesn't even follow a natural progression. She just suddenly goes, I'm obsessed.
She's
I
totally
am
written
obsessed.
this.
Yeah. I mean, she has obsessive tendencies, definitely. Or maybe it's less so obsessive and more like, I'm right, you're wrong, shut up, and I'm going to prove that
Yeah.
I'm right.
Yeah.
But she just goes instantly mad.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a weak episode
Really
that
unnatural
maligns characters in favour of the jokes. And the biggest moment of that for me is when Leela sees most of her crew get eaten by the whale. And I know, it's a comedy show, but just the fact she doesn't react at all other than to just say a joke. And then just sort of flies at it and starts stabbing. She doesn't know they're okay. I don't know, it just feels like something they wouldn't do in other better episodes.
Yeah, and I think like a good joke is to really like, because this, I feel like the obsessed overachieving woman is like a trope that doesn't really get played to like the best it could be, because it's fucking funny because it's real, like, because so many of us are like, nah, I have to be like the best. Like the best example I can think of is one of the characters in Pitch Perfect, where she's like, as my dad said, if you can't do it 100%, get out. Like, or don't come back, essentially. And everyone's like, what the fuck? Oh my god.
It's heavy. Yeah.
Yeah.
I just think that's a part of Leela in every episode, though. She's got that obsessive streak.
Yeah.
And it usually gets the crew into a lot of trouble. But for this, it's like you said, she's a completely different character. Her dialogue was really unnatural. She had the sort of the lofty mad way that she had of speaking, as though she was on some sort of holy crusade.
Yeah.
Didn't work at all coming out of
It's like a silly thing that
Casey
Bender would
Scar's
do
mouth.
when he gets obsessed with doing something. It's not a Leela.
And gets into character, right?
Yeah.
You expect him to say, "Oh, Mr. Fry," or do you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It feels really odd.
This
for her.
characterization of Leela would almost work for like an anthology, like an anthology of interest, like, because she's going full tilt crazy. Like, what's the voice she does when she's like, and I peered into the cackling madness of its soul, kind of thing, and I'm like, holy fucking oh my god, Leela, like
that. Even,
yeah.
even in anthology of interest episodes, everything is always underscored by her weird sort of like ballsy neuroticism and insecurity. There's always something of Leela in it, even in the most out there episodes. It's just not her. And it's really hard to care when none of the main storylines were getting any attention at all. It just seemed like a total throwaway.
The only instance of Leela doing a character voice has just come to mind that I do find quite funny is the one with the technology revolts, which did we come on and do with you guys? That rings a bell.
No, were we?
It was I think it was the one that
Mother's
was winning when we came on and talked about a different episode.
Mother's Day, I believe.
Mother's Day, that's the one, yeah. It's just Leela bring fire. We're fine for fire.
Yeah.
Oh.
That's a good way of doing it.
Yeah, it was just a single line. It wasn't a whole character thing. And she wasn't the focus of the episode, so it was fine to just have a throwaway gag with her.
Yeah. This is also the second direct reference to Moby Dick.
Yeah.
Because when they go into
they go in there.
They go
with
inside
the
Moby Dick, yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Sean, do you have any strong opinions?
Yeah,
Is
I
that
love this
Mrs.
episode.
Ahab?
I think this is a fantastic episode. So I'm gonna start off with is the thing that I forgot to do at the top. So IGN rates it 8.5 out of 10. IMDb rates it 7.4 out of 10.
Oh,
this
what do they
for
know?
me is a kind of it's a kind of return to form for me about just the rollicking adventure episodes that I've come to really enjoy for this season. For starters, I actually realized that it's been a long time since we've had the entire crew together. So, I mean, the entire crew together, which includes...
Scruffy.
With the exception of Scruffy, but we don't talk about him. With Amy, Hermes, and Zoidberg along for the ride, doing just a delivery mission, because there was actually a lot of, not backlash, but a bit of talk about this season. They're saying, they haven't done a delivery in a long time. We'd
Are
love
they
to see
even still
them
a company?
doing their job, which would be great.
Yeah.
And what I thoroughly enjoy about this episode as well is that it takes the time to, when they've done references to movies or TV shows, like they did A Flight to Remember with Titanic and Slurm Factory, they spend the whole entire episode. It tends to work a lot better. It gels when they tightly focus on an entire movie as a reference. And I thoroughly enjoyed that for this. It takes a serious tone for a part of it. Where I would agree with you guys especially is that Leela goes from a competent captain to fucking insane at the drop of a hat, whereas they could have spent more time near the beginning of the episode where they really focus on Farnsworth and the first captain. More that you could have laid in a bit of a through line for Leela going about the we haven't done any deliveries, like we need to do the work, I'm the captain, I'm competent on the job, and really re-establish Leela as, you're right, she's had these tendencies. I think re-establish it.
I think you can also go 0 to 100 if everyone jumps along, because if the rest of the crew was suddenly playing the part and being yeah, fuck it, let's kill this whale for no reason.
They all kind of fall into the sailors roles.
Then
right?
I would be yeah, okay, because it's either you have everyone acting completely crazy, or you have it, be the one character, but have people actually reacting to it. Whereas Leela's going really crazy, and Fry does go, you're going to kill us all, but they're not really super reacting to what she's doing.
No.
And I think that the reason that it feels that it goes from 0 to bonkers in 6 seconds is that it's contrived. I don't feel that it's a natural... Her obsession isn't natural in this episode. It doesn't seem like it comes from a real place. It feels like the setup of the episode is, God, Leela's obsessive about things. And then it's everyone then looks to Leela to go on then, be obsessive. So you could be exploring this really interesting avenue of Leela's psyche that, yes, she's obsessed, and it's often led the crew into all this trouble, but it doesn't do that like Moby Dick does.
Can I pick up on something that you said?
Yeah, you go.
Just briefly, you say that Hermes and Amy were in this episode.
Correct.
Were they?
Yes.
In what capacity?
They're on the ship the entire time with them through the adventure.
They're on the ship the
Amy's
entire
there
time.
saying smeesh and they're there the whole time.
Yeah, they're the entire time. The whole ship goes on adventure.
Hermes does backwards talking.
Do they have a
during
line?
The time slip.
Oh yeah, I remember Hermes doing the backward talking.
I see CGI.
Yeah, I see CGI and...
Two of the most distinctive characters of this episode are on that ship, and I didn't notice them once.
I told you, bits of this episode just come out of your brain like wet cake.
That's weird, because that's one of my favourite parts of this episode, is the bit you seem to have not remembered very clearly.
The fourth dimension, to me, is oh my god.
Really awesome.
We're just silly.
Bender taking so much joy out of having fun with himself. Millions of himself.
Uncountable infinities.
Fry saying poop.
Poop. Yeah.
Fry saying... Because it's a palindrome.
Fry saying heh poop.
Yeah.
Hair poop is both a
it's an entire palindrome. It's great. Hair poop hair.
Or the alternate dimension episode. Farm Box Paradox. That's another Parabox. That's another one where he sort of gets to encounter himself and have fun with himself. And this one,
Yeah.
And I really enjoyed one of the more serious moments that the episode takes is kind of the allusion to Sunshine, the Danny Boyle film. It's when they see the derelict original Planet Express ship.
Yes.
And they take the time. They do the spacewalk over there. They take a bit of time to explore the ship, and you've got the soundtrack underneath, and it's just really beautiful.
This might be. I may be blowing my load for Fashion Corner, but like
those rain slickers,
the rain slicker spacesuits are gorgeous. I love them. I especially love like contrast between when people use yellow and blue together. It's really nice because you've got the warm of the yellow and then the cool of the blue, and it's just like, it's fucking great. Go pick up a colour wheel sometime, guys.
The sailing motif of this episode is probably my favourite thing about it.
Yeah.
The fact they put sails on it on the Planet Express.
Yeah.
And they wear rain slickers and they have a harpoon.
As soon as they put...
It's just fun. I like it.
As soon as they put the sails up, I was like, have you all seen Treasure Planet?
No.
It's a good film. It really tanked Disney in terms of like their forays into 2D using hand-drawn animation, but then they also used like a lot of integrating it with 3D, and it was very complicated. And Treasure Planet is actually a really stunning movie, and it pays off. It's Treasure Island, but in space, and like that's all they wanted to do.
And they do that really well in this, as Sean was saying. The CGI mix in this is really nice.
The art in here is really, the animation is beautiful.
There's a shot that I want to draw attention to, and the moment I saw it, I thought this may be my favourite Futurama shot of the entire series, which is when they are showing the whale from underneath, and it gets a little lens flare over the whale, and the whale also emits blue mist.
Oh, I remember that. That's after Leela's joined with it, right?
Yes, she's just...
Yes, I remember that. That was a distinctive shot, yeah.
Oh...
I have another good thing about this episode.
Two good things.
The music.
Yes.
It's really great. Because I was watching it with subtitles on, and it said, like, in brackets, stirring music. And I'm like, it is stirring. You're right. You're goddamn right. Like, it was, I don't know, they're using a lot of strings, and like a lot of the scoring in this episode is actually really fucking great.
It's a bit of a tangent, but I do watch quite a lot of Netflix shows now with the closed captions on.
Yeah.
Because, you got a kid asleep in the other room, and it always brings me joy when I see ominous music intensifies.
Oh, no.
I love that. My mother likes subtitles on things like True Detective, and it will just say sort of ominous music or... creepy noises.
Mysterious music is my favourite.
Someone grunts.
I've started to embrace subtitles now because I am half deaf. I realise, I'm one loud noise away from losing my hearing completely. So maybe
listen to everything whisper quiet.
Yeah.
So there was a personal thing for me in this episode that it reminded me of two video games in the last year that I've really, really enjoyed. And I got like just a bonus bit of fun from that. Nothing to do with the episode itself. One is Subnautica. Which is a beautiful underwater exploration game, and the whale really reminds me. The design of it really reminds me of the creatures of Subnautica. And for whatever reason, the voyage of the the return of the Obra Dinn was the other one, which is about investigating a terrible mutiny and disaster on board a ship. And so
in a beautiful
both of those
drawing style.
Yes. Both of those things, the nautical theme and the lovely creature design, kind of sparked that for me. And so that kind of boosted my joy halfway through the episode. And I was like, this isn't that funny. But it does remind me of things I like.
Well, after all things we like, I really like that. I'm sure there's a whole bunch of Easter eggs in those discarded spaceships. But I did notice the Discovery one from 2001, which I'm really happy about.
There's also the Oceanic Airlines from Lost.
Apollo 100.
I thought there was a guitar... Was there a guitar ship which I thought might have been like a Daft Punk reference?
Oh, no, somebody does. I think it's Yes, actually, who have an album cover which is like a spaceship shaped like a big glowing guitar.
Oh, that would make more sense. Yeah.
Yes, or ELO. I'm not sure. Someone does. One of these prog rock guys.
They also have a Josie and the Pussycats ship.
Oh my god, I love it.
It's really good sight gags there. I really like the name of the planet that does all the carving.
Xenotaph 3.
Xenotaph, yeah.
Nice. I love that they change a major part of Futurama. Well, they don't change it. There's just a major part of Futurama lore that they worship the goddess Isis now.
Yes.
Well, I don't know. Is he praying to Isis specifically because she's kind of like queen of the underworld?
Or is that a Farnsworth specific thing?
I don't know.
I feel like they just mess around with who he prays to, because doesn't he? There's various times where they make a joke of Farnsworth's superstitiousness in spite of his science-ness.
I mean, someone's got to be right. Right?
Can't be no one.
You just pray to everyone, and your bases are
Can't
covered.
be nothing forever and ever.
Oh, God.
Can
you imagine? No.
Other positives.
Consider the eye.
I've got 2.
Zoidberg is one of
Yeah,
mine.
I know.
Zoidberg has this tendency to like basically save episodes that are not as enjoyable a lot of the time. I know you enjoyed the episode,
Which makes it even better.
yeah. But like Zoidberg can really lift things. There's something about the way they use him in stuff like this, especially here when he's playing completely against type.
Well,
everybody
Johnny.
loves him.
Talking about rewriting Futurama lore,
Yeah.
Dr.
Zoidberg
John.
was popular.
God.
Fancied by a hot lady,
He's
Candy,
called Johnny.
has hair.
No. Well, only when he's stressed. He grows stress hair, which I honestly think I might have a similar condition.
Which then gives more insight into why he got those wigs for Xmas a few years back, where he gets both Amy and Hermes' hair.
Not really a positive thing, but I have just noted, hey, who remembers the sat-nav manufacturers, Garmin and TomTom?
Yes, I had them.
Oh, that's
There's
what
a joke that the next
was.
generation won't get.
I still have my TomTom, like my
No.
actual physical one that you would put in the car.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's not lost in the depths
Right.
of space in the Bermuda tetrahedron.
Oh, look, I might have chucked it. I don't know. Chucked it really high in the air.
I worked in a department store for 5 years. I can remember this. I've sold 2 Garmin products, 0 TomTom products.
Oh, really?
And the rest were Fitbits.
I had a TomTom, because we had the navigational TomTom. We actually had John Cleese as our voice. He was so grumpy. I don't know why we didn't kick that fuck out. But then I also had a TomTom running watch. So I assume that they've all made the move to wearables now.
Or, I mean, if they want to make money, make the move into making iPhones and Samsungs, because that's what people are using for that now.
You just stick your phone on the dashboard and there's a GPS.
Yeah. Another bit of lore or continuity really that I really like is now that we know that mutants are on the surface, Leela's parents are free to grieve
to come
on the surface with them.
Yeah.
Gosh,
Yeah.
her mum is always giving her little backhanded compliments, isn't she?
Is that how you guys?
Is that what your friends are wearing now? God damn, she came back from a fucking space whale.
You thought she was dead 2 minutes ago.
Cut her a little slack. Oh my god.
Also, there's a lot of chairs at that memorial, and had the first crew, had the most recent crew not been lost as well, there would have been 3 people in attendance.
Well, it's just Lance's family, isn't it?
Yeah, it's just Lance's
Because
parents.
Candy and what is the other one? The forklift.
The
They don't have a family.
I love the idea of having a popsicle stand at a funeral. I know it's a memorial, but I think that's a brilliant idea. Because I don't know about you guys, but my family has thrown a lot of after wakes essentially, and Italian families will judge the fuck out of you if you don't put on a good spread. That's the thing.
And you think popsicles will help
As
that?
they
Yeah.
should.
I don't know. It's hot
The
in
last meal you have to make
Australia.
for them.
You can't mourn
This
without a
is-
popsicle.
Yeah, this is lovely. Reminds me of our cold dead relative.
My lemony.
They don't get to enjoy this, but we do.
I spent a summer in Africa harpooning giraffes. Is a wonderful sentence.
Yes.
Is it?
She has a Serengeti flashback.
And can anyone harpoon? Giraffes are basically just what is it? Land space
Land
whales.
space.
Yeah.
I hate that they say poon.
Poon, yeah.
like,
You have the poon.
Amy, you have the poon. I'm like, did no one think this through? No one, not a single person wanted to screen that.
Oh, Bender function.
I'm going to run with it.
He's a paper towel dispenser.
Oh yeah.
There you go.
Oh, yeah.
How useful.
Are
He
you
also
keeping a
plugs holes in
record of the bit?
ships.
Are you keeping a record of the bits that Bender can do?
Yes.
He also gets affected. This is not really a function, but he's the only one who gets affected by the Tickle Me Elmo's fire.
Ah,
Oh, yeah.
yes.
Some of the I mean that joke's almost. I don't know. That's one of the borderline jokes for me.
Oh,
That's one of the ones
really?
I'm like, yeah, guys.
That tickled me just right.
Yeah, of course.
Why?
My favorite line is the tried and true Futurama practice of explaining the totally explainable science at the end. They haven't aged a day. The whale must have some sort of Möbius colon that endlessly recycles time and space. And
Nice.
yes, that absolutely stands up to scrutiny.
Stands up to scrutiny.
I've just written. Because dissolving in a bathtub was my opening line, but also so I was at work today, and there's a guy installing new security cameras, and he was fucking about in the roof, and I was like, oh, there's nothing crazy up there, is there? And he's like, no, but once I was working at another petrol station, and I went up into the roof, and something fell on me, and it was just a bunch of dust. And he was like, oh, this smells terrible. And then he looked down, and it was basically a rat that had decomposed so much that it was just literally ashes now at this point, because he saw the back, the spine.
Oh, okay. You can stop now.
That leads me quite nicely onto my segment, the death tally.
Yay!
The death tally.
Yay!
It's considerably lower from last week.
That ice cream man really bit the dust.
Oh no, he
Fuck
is
that guy.
But the popsicle stayed, which was nice.
Yes.
But yes, he's 100% dead. And I don't know, do I count the whale because we don't actually get the moment of death from the whale?
Pretty sure the whale is dead.
That
It is
whale
dead,
is
but,
dead.
but like the 6 people that were going to get hanged, we don't actually see it. So
It was one guy with 6 necks, but yeah.
yeah. So I'm gonna say death tally is at 1.
One and implied 2.
Oh.
Yeah. So R.I.P. Popsicle Man.
Oh, it's a shame, because that, with only 2 deaths, how's that popsicle stand gonna really gonna make money?
I do have 2 final quick lines that I did enjoy.
Go
if
for
I
it.
can squeeze them out. One was, this is how I always want to remember him. Well, too bad, because he's still alive.
Yeah.
I loved the sob and stroll widow. What was it?
Widow's Walk installers.
Yeah. That
Explaining the origin of the Widow's Walk.
That-
I thought that whole flashback was a bit superfluous, but I did like the fact that it was sort of in an alternate 40s.
Yeah.
At the bank of a river. For no reason.
I really enjoyed it, and also grief diarrhea.
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
No, I
was
didn't
gonna
enjoy
try and squeeze
that.
one
Well,
out.
no one enjoys it because it's diarrhea and also grief.
I do.
I'm not a poop joke guy. I'm sorry.
Oh, you
Just
don't like your
didn't-
scatological humour?
No, but
No.
it's the grief as the modifier grief.
Oh,
in
right.
front of
Yes,
diarrhea.
that's what
It's-
makes it funny.
It's,
the
it's like a
pain.
fine wine maturing.
And do you guys have any more final?
Yeah,
final-
my favourite joke of the episode, in fact, I have, which is my favourite exchange, because it's 2 lines. After Bender's been hit by something and his limbs sort of fall off and go flying into space, Fry rushes in. A lot of Bender just fell out of the crow's nest. to which Lena replies, enough of your mad obsession with Bender, Fry. It's a quite character for her, but it's a funny line.
Yeah.
And that was my other one, was at that same moment where that's the line for Hermes, where he says, Bender is one of our most expensive appliances.
That's right. I can't believe we missed that.
Yeah.
That was almost going to be my intro line. I also love how excited Zoidberg is at I love the threat that Leela uses throughout this episode to forcefully marry people,
2 people.
who don't want to be married.
And Zoidberg.
And also, when she's like, you're this close to, Fry, you're this close to being married to Zoidberg, and then Zoidberg's like, oh, so close.
So close.
What about you, Goodman?
Goodman?
We sort of touched on the whale and the visuals, but the actual teleportation of the whale every time, the slipping between dimensions, just looked outstanding. The sort of crystal space that appeared every time it dipped in and out.
Yeah.
It's really gorgeous.
Very
It
cool.
looked very refreshing.
And a final note, a little behind the scenes. It's it's absolutely hilarious, let me tell you, is that originally they were going to, in the second episode the series has landed, they were going to introduce as a character very quickly at the very top of the episode the original captain of the Planet Express ship. I can give you his name, which is Captain Cameron. However, in those opening moments of the second episode, they were going to have him kill himself in the suicide booth.
Oh, wow.
To which the Fox execs said that was a bit too dark.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
A bit strong early on.
Yeah.
What's the point in us having canonical suicide booths if you're not going to let us kill anyone?
Well, it's true. No one ever we don't see anyone die in those booths, do we?
Because I guess it's
First
hard
episode
to
we do.
depict suicide in a comedy show.
It's really
No,
not.
the first episode we do see the thing. Like somebody goes in there whilst Fry's just pleasantly whistling. And
it
you just see a sort of flash under the door.
From
God.
I love that.
I'm hoping for
You
a
sick
secret
fuck.
finale that they're going to release in a few years' time, like the real ending to Futurama, where it's just all of them one by one going into the suicide booth. There's no plot or anything. It's just that.
But
Bye, everyone.
But not just the main cast, like all
Everyone.
of the side
Everyone.
characters. It's just half an hour of
It's
all
hours
of them.
long.
Oh no! Yeah, I knew we were going to bring up hedonism bot because we can never let an episode go by without doing hedonism bot.
I don't know. I think devilishly handsome Forklift's giving him a run for his money.
He doesn't have a voice.
Doesn't matter. He doesn't need one.
Oh,
Let us
true.
bring it on to a vote. And if you guys are happy to, I would like to start.
Go.
Sure. So for those of you, for the uninitiated, we are voting and we are putting the late Philip J. Fry up against this current episode, Möbius Dick. And I, for one, will be voting for the late Philip J. Fry. I've been suspiciously against that episode for a while now. I've tried to topple it. And no, it's a superior episode. Like Phil has articulated on a number of occasions, it has that perfect blend of being a hilarious episode with a great emotional weight, and it really feeds the existential crisis that weighs me down on a daily basis. And it's a beautiful episode, and it's the articulation of what Futurama, what this wacky sci-fi comedy is capable of kind of making you feel and making you think about it. It's a perfect, it is Futurama, as you say.
I've nothing else to add. I agree with you wholeheartedly. I'm voting for the late Philip J. Fry.
And I will say, just on that note, though, is that I do really like this episode. For me, also like, as I said, the Da Vinci Code and a couple of episodes with this season particularly, I just had a lot of fun. And I thought it was both funny and had a cracking pace and utilizes, even if they don't have a lot of lines, it gets the whole crew together. And it's a very single-minded, this is a delivery mission. Yeah. And but still, the late Philip J. Fry.
They've been doing a lot of risks, with this season, like a lot of coupling and pairing off characters that like you wouldn't necessarily have thought, but like, they're going big and bold and like, and we've really enjoyed ourselves this season. Like, it's not over yet, but like, everyone was really gearing up to think that we weren't going to like it. And we've been pleasantly surprised. Obviously, I'm voting for the late Philip J. Fry. Since it's been the winner for like, I don't know how many episodes, just go back and listen to one of those episodes to why.
Yeah, we've talked about it a lot. Yeah.
I believe it was episode 5. So we've been going for about 7 or 8 episodes strong now.
Yeah.
Sorry, Pauls, would you like to express your thoughts?
Sure. Yes, absolutely. It's got to be the late Philip J. Fry, for the reasons that you've said, but also because for me, very personally, I have a lot of anxieties about the idea of loads of time passing. And there's a particular kind of poignancy for me, the idea that a character would hold on to a very brief period of their life as being like, enough for them. And when Leela writes the message at the end, it was, our time together was brief, but it was the best time of my life. It's like the bridges of Madison County. It just bums me out. I like that. Very
my
sweet.
God.
Well, I think we all on this podcast and every podcast have a very distinct existential fear of time passing.
Yeah.
But it's not just that reason that makes the late Philip J. Fry a better episode. It's pretty much every reason that has been brought up against this episode is why Philip J. Fry works. Better focus on the characters. Better through line. And then the good things that work about this episode are just done better in the late Philip J. Fry. The gags are better. The world design is superb.
The animation is also stunning in
it is.
Animation's amazing. Such a great concept.
Yeah.
Easy winner.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
And that song is a lot of fun.
So it's a resounding vote for the Philip J. Fry.
The late Philip J.
The late Philip J. Fry will not be untoppled
Today.
anytime soon.
Say untopped again.
Untopped.
Yay.
So, guys, polls, what we have done, or what I've tried to do, is we are actually going back and going through the classic voices of Futurama to see if we have gotten any better.
Wow.
Oh, fuck.
Good.
They can go first this time.
Yeah, they can go first.
With all that training we've been doing, Paul.
So,
I've been trying to impersonate the whale.
well,
I mean, do that as well. Maybe it's humpback. Maybe it's a dialect.
we're up to Professor Farnsworth.
Oh, no.
Oh, fuck, okay.
Oh, God.
I never said he had hair. If you chose to imagine him that way, that's your business. That's thank you.
Nice.
God, I can't.
Nice.
What other line of Farnsworth do I remember? Grief diarrhea. That's what I remember. I'll do.
Ah, yes. I remember it like it was interesting.
That's pretty good.
And I'm afraid that they'll ask for the price of an admission back.
I can't remember any of these fucking lines. I'm just going to
Good
say,
cadence.
good news, everyone. That's it. That's all you get.
You could do a... Oh. He does it twice, two or
Oh,
three
he just
times.
sighs. Oh. It's actually high-pitched, isn't it? I don't know.
Does anyone
So,
do
yeah,
his
that was-
maniacal cackle? I'm in the family home, so I'm loath to try.
Oh, what is it? What is it?
No, that's fucking Yoda. Yeah, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Oh, I'm not in person. That's my laugh. All right. Get fucked. That's actually my laugh. I was laughing at your laugh.
It's amazing how much
Ellen.
like Professor Farnsworth you sound.
Damn it.
Suspicious, even.
Wow.
I do. My laugh is very suspicious.
Hang on.
It's your name,
Have you guys
Billy
definitely
West.
checked that Ellen isn't Billy West?
It's not Billy West.
Some stupid made-up name.
Yeah.
It's Ellie. I don't know. Ellie West.
Hey, remember when Paul Goodman used to call you Ellie?
Yeah, you stopped.
Yeah. Well, I just browbeat into following the rules.
Well, I think
He always does that. He always gives people
jumped
unwanted nicknames.
You jumped the gut, or like you came out of the gate saying Ellie.
Yeah.
And we were just like, oh,
Okay.
Oh.
there's something new, and you were like, oh fuck, is it new?
Well, this is the thing. Then I said Ellen about 4 times after that,
Yeah.
and then I thought, oh, I should go back to Ellie, but then it felt so contrived. I just think, what an absolute fucking
I can't
scumbag.
go back to
I
a
hope he
nickname.
dies. Yeah,
You
What
get
else,
one.
sir?
you can't.
Paul,
I'm not allowed anything them for a reason.
Paul Salt, Paul Goodman, would you guys like to spruik yourselves to the masses?
Yeah, you can do that on OGTpod at Twitter and Facebook. You can find us on iTunes and all good pod catchers. One Good Thing is the name. Podcasting about movies in a funny and hilarious and endearing and informative and educational way is our game.
That's so fucking endearing, is the thing. Just,
Yeah.
everybody says it. They says, wow.
Endearing as shit.
I am endeared as fuck right now, they say.
If you need your endear ducts filled, do check out one good thing on also on the A Lot of Green podcast network, which we're on as well.
Yes.
Indeed-do.
Indeed they
Good to
are.
be green.
Yes. So, guys, if you would like to contact Baby Beard Media, you can do so by emailing us at babybeardmedia@gmail.com.
You can find our Facebook page where I post random and silly things.
Yep, you can also hop onto our Instagram. That's my bag if you want to participate in any polls, which we put on our stories, or see a time-lapse of this very episode. Wow, wave your hands, make it interactive. Yes, where else can we be found?
We're on Twitter. We're on YouTube. As always, the best way that you can help us, both One Good Thing and Baby Beard Media, please go onto either the podcast app or the iTunes and rate. Oh, well, if you like what we do,
Please rate and review.
Nice.
a simple rhyme for you to remember. It's the best way to skyrocket us into the stratospheres and fuck with the algorithm.
Yeah, and even if you want to say, I hate it, if you put 5 stars, we won't care.
Yeah, we're happy with that. That's fine.
If you're a contrarian.
Yeah,
do
if you
that.
like that.
If you go to www.alotofgreen.com.com, you can find Shut Up and Take My Podcast, One Good Thing, and a whole plethora of great Australian podcasts. Anything to meet your needs.
Sean, did you mean
.com.
Did you mean to say
.com.com?
.com.com?
I think you meant .com.au.
I had a stroke. What happened? Where am I?
Not again.
A lot of green. .com.au.
.com.com.
Yeah. You find it. You're internet savvy.
Yeah.
You've got
Listener.
this.
I always pronounce
Kyle.
that. I always pronounce that as .com.au in my head.
Ow.
I don't know why, because it's not how you say. You don't say Australia, but AU on its own.
Yes,
seems
we
like,
do.
Ow.
Australia.
Australia.
Goodman, we haven't had the heart to tell you. You've been saying Ellie and Australia. And it's been really problematic.
Australia, what a wanker.
Oh, God.
No one's corrected him. It's like Versace all over again.
So if you would like to come back next week, we at Shut Up and Take My Podcast will be doing Law and Oracle. Oh. And at some point, we'll be back on One Good Thing.
If they ever let us
At
back.
some point.
Yeah. Until that
Who's to
time,
say? Time's a great healer.
Oh.
Oh, yes.
Until that time, I have been Sean.
I've been Phil.
I've been Ellen.
I'm Paul.
Polster.
Polster.
Paulinator.
I love it.
I've been Sarah Paulson.
And and Cody, just remember, it's Phil.
Phil.
Yeah.
I'm on the podcast too.
Thank-
Yeah. Oh.
I said it in an email to him, by the way. I just said, look, I know because you're a fan of One Good Thing, it's easy to think that everyone has a Paul.
Everyone's Paul.
Our Paul is Phil.
It's
Yeah.
very
I like the idea that you were.
We're just
I love the
all
idea
Paul.
you replied to that message with just, look, I appreciate what you said, but you better fucking sort this out.
Look, get your shit together.
This isn't going to do.
Phil's on the
Ain't gonna
edge,
hunt.
okay? And this
Yeah.
might be the thing that does it.
I love that we've all been dunked on by at least. Well,
Yeah, that's right.
actually, I don't think I've been dunked on yet. Fans, please dunk
Dunk on
me.
Ellen, yeah.
Because we've had Sean be dunked on by Phil being
the
the favourite non-Ellen member.
yeah.
Ellen, I haven't been reading a lot of these emails. Do you want me to give you some?
Yes, please.
Stand on more basketball hoops.
It turns out we have a lot of alt-right listeners who just really hate the fact that you are
Have
female.
a vagina,
Yeah.
Weird.
But
Yeah.
Get your politics out of our Futurama.
now's your time to really tell us what you think about Ellen. Get in touch.
What have I unleashed? Oh my god.
Brothers on the left, brothers on the right, all come together.
They all hate me.
Yay!
Oh god. I will unite
sure,
everyone.
I'm sure it's been cut at some point, so I'm not even going to say bye.
Oh.
Bye.
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 I just imagine.
Sorry,
yeah.
sorry, Chris.
Stop
recording.
Sorry for the hour-long recording, Chris.
I'm not.
It's actually better to watch films on phones as well. Don't know if you've tried it. It's fantastic.
You
really think that cinema was made for
David
that?
Lynch talking about it recently, and he's just like, you fucking can't
No,
do
no,
it.
no. Do the voice.
Hey, I'm David Lynch. How you doing? What's the matter? How you doing? I'm a
Why
David
is
Lynch.
that David Lynch? I don't want to actually watch Paul Blart Mall Cop 2. I just want to know that you two have.
I feel more comfortable when I know what Kevin James is and what he's doing. At the moment, I have no
You
idea.
don't
He
need
could
to
be
know.
anywhere.
So you don't.
He could be right outside.
He's right behind you.
He
No.
could be.
You don't feel safe until you know
I
where
don't know
Kevin
what he's
James
doing.
is at all times.
They should have a live stream. like,
Where in the world is Kevin James?
I have a new computer and I wonder, yes, automatically adjust microphone settings is on. Glad that I remembered that. Oh, there's a video of my stupid face.